Ionic is supported on a variety of desktop platforms. In this section, I'm going to focus on Ubuntu Linux, but you should be able to follow along with any modern Linux distribution. I'll show you how to install the tools that I use and get the basics up and running as quickly as possible. We'll want to ensure you have all the command line and build tools installed before you write any code, so that's what we'll take care of here. Ionic makes heavy use of Node.js, a JavaScript-based runtime environment. You'll need Git and its related build tools. And of course, you'll also need Ionic. Installing these items is pretty straightforward. You should be able to follow right along. Linux users tend to be all about choices, so I'm going to provide 3 different options for installing these tools. You can choose to install everything directly from the provider's websites. You can use your distribution's package manager. For Node, there is a third option that I'll discuss, the Node version manager. Most, if not all, these options should work for you, regardless of which Linux distribution you use. Before you decide which method is right for you, let's see whether or not you already have Git installed. It's possible you do. Open a terminal and enter the command node -- version. If you already have it, your system will respond with a version number. If not, as is my case, we'll install it in a moment. Ubuntu helpfully provides the command we need to install it. Let's see what happens when we try that with Git. Enter the command git -- version. Again, I don't have it, but if you do, you'll see a version listed here. And again, Ubuntu helpfully tells me how to go about installing it through the package manager. I'm going to show you the other 2 ways, but right now let's do the package manager method. So all I need to do is enter the command that was provided for me. Because I'm using sudo, I have to use my password. And that's really all there is to it. Let's look at that command for Git again. Now that the process is complete, I should be able to do those commands again. And you'll see that I meant Node version 8. That's not where I want to be, so there's a better way to do this. Let's check the Git version. The Git version's a little old as well, but it'll do just fine. The Node version concerns me though, so let's look at the alternative methods. Linux users can install Node directly from the Node.js site. If you can't or don't want to use your distribution's package manager, head over to nodejs.org. When you get there, click the big green button to download the LTS or long-term support version. For me at this time, that version is 12.16.1, but it may be different for you, which is fine. Once downloaded, you should be able to install it, accepting the defaults. The same information applies to Git. We won't be doing a lot with Git, at least not right away, but Ionic uses it, so you should have it. Head over to git-scm.com, look for the download button and click it. Once downloaded, just like with Node, you should be able to accept the defaults. Let me show you one more option for Node. My recommendation is to install a tool called the Node Version Manager, or NVM. It's a little more involved, but far more flexible in the long run. NVM is an elegant set of shell script functions to enable the most flexible use of Node imaginable. The primary purpose of NVM is to enable you to install and switch between multiple versions of Node and NPM instantly. So if you happen to have one project that requires Node 8, but another that requires Node 12, it's easy to keep them both installed yet still independent from one another. To me, the more important features of NVM revolve around root access. Many NPM package installation instructions you'll find on the web instruct you to use the sudo command to install packages globally, because the default location for those global packages are system-protected directories. Though unlikely, it's possible that you might not have root access on your Linux machine, making those instructions worthless. Once you commit to NVM, there's no reason ever to use sudo. In fact, you don't even need root access to install NVM. Everything gets installed under your own user account. So let's see how that works. This is the recommended method to install NVM on Linux. Simply enter either of these 2 commands, depending on whether or not your system has curl or wget already installed. I'm going to go ahead and paste the wget command into my terminal. I've already uninstalled the other Node version, so I'm going to let NVM handle everything from here on out. As you can see, it was really quick. There is a warning that tells me that I need to reopen my terminal. That's because it added paths and functions to my bash shell. Let me do that right now. So now I don't have Node because I only installed NVM. But if I want to, now I can install, using NVM, any version of Node that I want. I'm going to install the latest LTS version, which again is 12.16.1. And that's all there is to that. There are other NVM commands available to you, allowing you to install and use different versions of Node. The most common ones are shown here, and I describe them in more detail on the course lesson page, just below this video. And that's all there is to it. At this point, you should have all these tools installed and available. Next up, we'll install Ionic and create our very first application.